Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kasia, and I'm so thrilled to have Barbara Smith with me today. Barbara is an author, and she has become a good friend over the last years. Barbara was someone that helped me when my mother got diagnosed with breast cancer, and I will always be grateful that she was there to help me walk through that because it was one of the hardest things that I have been through, certainly in my life as a caregiver. So I'm so glad that we made time for this, Barbara, because I know we'll both be on an airplane on September 1st, just
Yes,
around the corner. You'll be heading
yes.
to Vietnam very soon, and I'll be heading to Turkey. Barbara, I wanted to start off really, to just share a little bit about why you decided to write your book, because it was really enlightening to read it. And I know that you made such a tough decision to leave your husband during chemotherapy. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that decision and then why you decided to write about it, right? Because it's reliving in some ways that difficult decision.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to tell all of our listeners, I do not recommend leaving your spouse during the middle of chemotherapy. But for me, it was really a decision of self preservation that I believe saved my life. And I'm not even being the slightest bit dramatic. When you are married to somebody that is an alcoholic or an addict, oh, it sounds like the ice cream truck. Look at that. Um, it's just no way to live. And when you're in the middle of treatment and it's so hard on your body and you're just trying to like make it every day and it's just super hard, the last thing you need is somebody giving you drama. You just don't need somebody making your life harder and never being there for you and making it seem like you don't really feel secure. You really need your partner to be the person who's there for you and to make you feel really secure, because you're just doing your best every day to try to make it, and you really need that support. And what I found was my husband, because of his alcoholism, couldn't be there for me. He couldn't even be there for himself, and I made the very difficult decision to say, you know what, don't come to the house, don't call my friends, don't call my children, don't try to get to me. You can text me or email me, but I don't want to talk on the phone. I just need to focus on myself and my own health apart from this drama. And so I made the very, very difficult decision, but also the very easy decision once I realized, oh, it's you or me. When I saw it and framed it in that way, I thought, this is not hard. If I don't make this decision, I'm not going to be here to tell the tale. And so
Mhm.
I left him in one day. And I think it's definitely the best decision I've ever made in my life.
And is it something that you had thought about before making that decision?
Well, we had been very off and on because when you're living with an alcoholic, you're in the house, you're out of the house, you've got to go. Oh, okay, I'll take you back. I mean, I think that a lot of us have been in those off again, on again types of relationships. And when, this wasn't some casual boyfriend. This was my husband who had helped me raise my kids. He
Mhm.
got involved in our lives when my kids were 8 and 11. And he had been, a really good stepfather. But, when I need you, I really need you. I don't,
Yes.
I'm a very independent woman and I'm not like, oh, do every little thing for me. But this was when the chips were down and it was like, if you can't be here for me, I will make other arrangements.
Yeah, so you mentioned something, I remember you mentioned that, you would not get picked up from appointments, etc., right?
It would
So
be
you were
very,
just
very
stuck.
late. So, when I was getting ready to go in for my mastectomy, it was a week before Christmas of 2014. And he said, I'll be there at 2. He wasn't there until 4:30. And I was just like, kind of like feeling more and more anxiety about where is he? Where is he? I'd call him, oh, yeah, I'm going to be there in a few minutes, And then he'd get there and it was like, what's the big deal? I'm
Mhm.
here. And it was just like kind of, he would flip it and try to make me feel like I was the problem. And I'm
Okay.
like, yeah, this just isn't feeling right to me. I feel like I want to feel more secure.
Yeah.
And so I just couldn't with him in the picture.
Mhm. And so, what made you decide to write a book about your experience?
I was journaling every day. I have a practice of journaling every day, and I like to get up early, early in the morning when it's really still dark. This is what I like about the winter hours because it stays dark for a really long time. But I was just in so much emotional pain, I had to journal. It was just the way I describe it is I had a splinter under my skin. And we've all had a splinter, caught a splinter in our finger from time to time. And if you don't do anything about it, it just becomes more and more painful and it grows and festers and it's just miserable. And you have to get it out. And so
Mhm.
writing was the way that I got it out. And
Yeah.
so the book came from all of my journals. And I got some very good advice about, if you've got all this writing, make an outline, decide what's your hook, make that first chapter really, really interesting, but organize things in a very, make sense kind of way so that you can have everybody follow along and it'll make sense to everybody. It makes sense to me, but it's got to make sense to everybody else too.
Hmm.
So that was really, really good advice. But I wrote every morning not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I felt like I had to be unburdened. And it was a very heavy weight.
And that process helped you let go of that weight. I know that you mentioned that you were carrying this around for some time, and that really helped you to release that.
Yeah, it was a healthy way of emotionally processing what I was going through. Some people cry. I'm not a big crier. Some people crawl into their cave and don't talk to anybody and then come out 3 days later. Um, but I'm a writer
Mhm.
and I'm also an oversharer. So I'll talk to anybody about it because a lot of the times people will reflect back to me and give me really good feedback. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, writing really has kind of been a saving grace for me.
that's wonderful. And
Yeah.
tell us about the title, right? Because your title, I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay. What made that decision come about?
So it was pretty funny. I have this hilarious friend that I worked with at Apple many years ago. Her name's Mary, and Mary is a riot. And I said, I'm writing a book. And she goes, oh, great. What's it about? And I said, well, it's kind of my own eat, pray, love story, except I have to find a better title than Trapped in an Alcoholic Marriage, Got Cancer, Ran Away to Thailand. And she goes, yeah, I think you should call it I Made Life My Bitch. And I'm like, oh my God. And I thought about it and I thought that's a really bold title. And, maybe it would turn people off. But what I found is that people are like, I want to read that book because I want to make life my bitch too. Um, and I thought about it and I thought, I have earned every word in that title. I've earned every single one and I should just own it. And
Mhm.
so that's what we ended up naming the book.
Yeah, I love it. I love your courage, Barb, really. It's something that I just find, it makes me excited to see you going through life. And I know now you recently went through other surgeries, right? You've had a lot of surgeries
Understatement.
and you look incredible. And I love,
Thank you.
the energy that you have. And I'd love to hear about, what you think really gives you this energy, this zest for life, because you came on our Galapagos adventure in the middle of these surgeries. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, okay, I love that she's coming, but how is she doing this? And how is she able to keep up with us doing all the snorkeling
Well, I have
and
always had, from the time I was born, energy of 10 women. But over the last 18 months, I've had 6 surgeries and 30 sessions of radiation. And it's been a tough year and a half. Um, I had a mastectomy in January of 2025. Then I had 30 sessions of radiation. And then I started the surgeries for reconstruction. And I had breast cancer for the second time because, like, I'm a double winner. Um, I had to have surgeries in stages because they're doing liposuction and fat transfer. Because after radiation, your skin continues to contract, and breast implants I wasn't a candidate because the skin will continue to contract and it will burst an implant. And that's not what I want to sign up for. So, they have to do the fat transfer in stages so that the blood vessels have a chance to grow in. And so it takes several surgeries. And right now, I think the reason I am feeling so well is because I've just determined I'm taking a break for the rest of the year. Reconstruction will always be there. I will always have it available to me. But right now, I am focused on other things like getting ready to go to Vietnam and support my daughter as she has her first child.
Yeah, that's so wonderful.
Oh
And
my God.
so, what made you decide to join us on this trip? Because I know that it's something that for a lot of people it's really far away. It's not something necessarily that has crossed their mind, right?
Yeah,
Hawaii is just right there. Why go to the Galapagos Islands? So
right.
I'm curious what
Well, I
prompted
think Hawaii and the Galapagos are both beautiful, but that's kind of where the similarity ends. So I went because of you, because we had traveled together before, and I would travel with you again, anytime, anywhere that I can make it.
uh,
Um, I wanted to go see the wildlife, and I know that the Galapagos is, it's a one in a million experience. You're not going to see that wildlife anywhere else in the world. It's an opportunity to see things that I've always wanted to see, like the blue-footed boobies and the hammerhead sharks, and just the giant tortoises were amazing and so plentiful. But just to see how they incubate them and let them grow up in a protected environment, and you can see the difference between the 1-year-olds and the 2-year-olds. And by the time they get to be 5 years old, they can go off and live their best tortoise life with others of their kind. And it was just really, really a neat trip. So I think the other thing that was really interesting is I want to do high level travel. I want to go with people that I feel are of like mind, really smart people, really adventurous people, people that I feel like, we're going to have interesting conversations over dinner, and that everybody's going to be, educated and interesting, and,
you have
want to find my
something in
people.
common. Yeah, and I remember some time ago you mentioned that you were really missing being able to have these more stimulating conversations, right? So
Yeah.
if you think about the type of conversations that you really love, what are they about?
I'm a little bit of an intellectual. So I came up through my career in Silicon Valley. So I'm used to the best, the brightest, the most ambitious, the most creative. And I was just swimming in that pond my entire life, my entire professional life. And so that's what felt normal to me. And then when I, kind of moved up to Vancouver, Washington, and I've moved a bunch of places. I've lived abroad and lived in Florida for a couple years. But I'm in Vancouver, Washington now, and it's a wonderful place to live, but it's not Silicon Valley. And so I think connecting with other entrepreneurs is very stimulating. I think that, you know, other people that are highly educated, other people that are just curious about the world. I mean, that's one of my favorite qualities about you is that curiosity. And you'd think that everybody has it, but they don't. And so I wanted to meet other people who had traveled, who were explorers, and
Mm.
had something interesting to say over dinner.
Yeah, I love it. Yes, and it's interesting because I know that you have joined our mastermind as well, which is run by Monique. How have you found that experience? Because to me, it's around being other people who are really growing, learning, implementing, these
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah.
Um,
On some days I feel like I'm a beginner, but I
mhm.
am not a beginner. I've run several successful businesses over the years. I had a huge career as a sales executive in tech. Um, I want a high level group. And we're all kind of starting at a different place, but it's been so nice to find other women and a few men who are kind of at the same level of capacity, at least. Like we may be starting, on the different starting blocks, but
Mhm.
I know that these people are smart and ambitious and good listeners and curious and want to learn and grow. I'm at a point in my life where I do not want work to feel like hustle. I don't want it to feel like a grind. I don't want it to feel difficult. I want it to feel like learning.
Yeah,
Learning is good.
I'm on the same
Grinding,
page.
I'm too old for this. I have no interest in being involved in that boss babe culture. And so Monique is she's one in a million. She is the smartest woman I've ever met online. She is not into this whole rah rah, I'm so excited, let's like rev everybody up. that is not her vibe at all. She's a truth teller. And that's what we really need as entrepreneurs. We're trying to figure things out. She will guide you, but she's not going to like just get you spun up for the sake of getting you spun up and excited about things. And I think that a lot of the online networking are all about rah, rah, rah. And that's not my vibe. I want the proper guidance at the proper time. I want somebody that I like and respect. And I have found that in Monique and in all of the people that are in the mastermind. It's been tremendous for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that both the mastermind and the adventure were, able to fill this side of you that really wanted to have expression. Because this is what I find with fulfillment in life, is we have these different sides of us, right? That sometimes we don't actually express, we don't use, right? And that's when we start to think something is missing. There's a value there that's not being fulfilled. And sometimes we don't know what it is because we weren't really raised by anyone that knew anything about values, right? We probably had parents that were arguing because they never even considered what values they had before they got married. I know my parents never even knew about something like that.
Yeah.
And
the way I describe my upbringing is raised by wolves. I just had to figure everything out myself. And, in some ways you feel a little bit like, could you have given me some guidance? But you know what? People can only give what they have. And, my path was to be the pattern breaker in my family and to figure everything out on my own and to raise and to give my children the upbringing that I always wanted to have. And I've been able to do that. So that's really satisfying.
Yeah, it's we're in a different era, and that's one thing I really am grateful for, that we're in an era where there's just so much more self-awareness, there's so much more opportunity for growth and to learn about how to actually live a good life that is fulfilling, rather than just falling into a life that we don't really control.
Our grandmothers and mothers, they laid the groundwork for us. But I feel like I meet a lot of 30, 35-year-old women, and they're like, man, I want to get close to you. I want to use you as a mentor. I want to learn from you. And I think back about my mother and that generation, and you could be a school teacher, a nurse, or a secretary. Those were the or a wife and a mother. Those were the only approved real roles for a woman. And it was so limiting. And I feel like that generation didn't have the same resources to offer us as we have to offer young women today.
Yeah. No, I remember, but my grandmother taught me a couple of really important things. So one of them was to avoid narrow shoes because unfortunately, she had deformed her feet that way. So I remember that moment when she showed me her feet and she said, don't do this to yourself, right? And
don't want bunions.
Yeah, nobody wants bunions, and we often do, have them. And so I think there's certainly so much wisdom that can come from just living life. And then, we've had exposure to other opportunities that allow us to really take that step back and make decisions that are much more aligned with who we are and what is going to be fulfilling for us. And I love that you're heading back to Vietnam now. You're about to start a new chapter again in this amazing life that you've been living.
This is why I'm the queen of reinvention, right?
You should. Yes, I love that. I love your tiara for sure. Well deserved.
Because I had really good hair. I didn't want to mess up the hair.
Yeah. And so you're planning to spend 6 months there, or you don't know how?
It really depends on my daughter. So this is her first baby. I think that, with your first, you really don't know what you're in for. I'm just going to go and be supportive. I'll be there for the birth. And then they want me to kind of clear out for that first week where they can just, hunker down as a unit, a family unit, and bond with the baby without anybody else, including me. So I'm going to go on a tour of Halong Bay. And then I'll be back after that. And, her husband will be back at work. So it'll be she and I and the baby, and I'm going to take care of her. She'll take care of the baby. We'll figure it out as we go along. It's going to be really a wonderful time. I mean, she has been an international teacher since 2013 and moved to Japan. She met her English husband there. They both speak fluent Japanese. I mean, it's a very cool deal. and a great lifestyle for people that, it really doesn't hit most people's radar that being an international teacher is even a lifestyle choice, but it's just been fantastic for them.
Yeah, I love
So
it, and I love that sense of possibility. That's something that I've really embraced in my life because I felt so lucky to have the experience of living in Krakow, but then moving to Canada and seeing what life is like here, and then moving
yeah,
to Australia and living there for 15 years, because it really shapes your perspective, and you can
yes,
see there's just so much opportunity and possibility in this lifetime. Sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming to
and
decide where you want to be, but I think that it always makes us more resourceful.
yes, I agree. I think that, living in another culture, not going just as a tourist, but actually setting down roots and becoming part of the society there broadens your life. I think that, travel and education are the two things that change your life in such a profound way, and you never go back to the way it was.
Mm,
I lived in Asia before. I lived in Asia and I taught English in Thailand from 2016 to 2021. I didn't teach the entire time, but I started a company there that still exists today. And it was quite the adventure. And then I started it right before COVID started. And we were hearing something big's going down in Wuhan. They're trying to keep it on the down low. And I'm like, who knew that, it would change everybody's life for years to come? And then I
yeah,
returned to the States to be with my family, my sister and my nephew, in the middle of 2021, and I got my vaccine for the first time, which I wasn't able to get in Thailand, and so that left me feeling a little bit exposed. So I
yeah,
was glad to get it.
yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I remember those moments of finding out, and I was not able to go back to Australia to my place, so I had to wait a while before I could move out of my flat while I was here in Canada, looking after my mother. So yes, it definitely changed our lives, and now I'm so glad to be able to travel again and have that back in my life. To me, it's something that's so important and so energizing. I can feel like I can exhale and just be present and absorb the environment and the people, the wildlife. So for me, that was a blessing to be able to create this adventure, and it was something that I really wanted to build back into my life after being a caregiver, because
Yes,
I realized how important it was for me to really recharge my batteries, and I wanted to bring people together to experience some of these amazing places without
yeah.
having to worry about anything.
Well, it's that like presence. I think that that is something that I never even considered when I was working in Silicon Valley. I was like all about the goal. I was like this rocket ship of a human being. And I was very, very successful, but I was never present. I was always, what's the next goal? What's the next goal? And I'd achieve it and then I'd enjoy it for like a millisecond and then I'd set the next goal. And so I really value that presence now and that ability to just be with others who are like minded in these beautiful places um, that are just so unique and fabulous. And, it was a long flight, but you know what? If not now, when? Like, if
Yeah.
you're not going to book it now, what are you waiting for?
Well, yes, and now we've got our next date set for April 30th. So, what would you say to someone that might be on the fence about going? What were your favorite things to experience there? Your favorite foods, restaurants,
The
tours?
seafood was amazing, so fresh. I loved the fact that we spent like the measure of the trip was perfect. 3 days in Quito and exploring the city, and then going to the islands and each of the different islands. We spent 3 days in each, which was just the right amount of time to feel like you could come, settle in, explore as much as you wanted to, and then it was time to go to the next one. So I think the pace of the trip was fantastic. The people were fantastic, and I'm so glad that you're like curating the the right group. And I think that we learned a lot about the tortoises, and that was fabulous. Poor lonesome George, he never had a girlfriend, died a lonely bachelor. Um, but yeah, I just think being able to snorkel, eat all the beautiful seafood, have amazing conversations, and just be present with one another where you're not checking email. I didn't even bring my laptop,
Yeah, I
and that
congratulate
was
you
the
on
first
that.
for me. I moved to a paper journal, and I thought, you know what, this is going to be okay. And then I realized I can do talk to text. So I just read and transcribed into my, regular Google Doc, and that
That
worked out great.
Did you have anxiety about not bringing the laptop at first?
I did a little bit, yeah, because I thought, writing is such a catharsis for me, and I need to do it every day. But I thought, pen and paper, that kind of works. And you don't have to worry about, luggage handling and what's happening to my laptop, or, if you're on a boat, is it going to get dropped? It's just,
Yes.
this was a lot better for me. I had my phone. It wasn't like I was, cut off from the rest of civilization or anything.
Yeah, they do throw the luggage around there because they
You
have to get
do.
it on the boats, right? So we saw that
Like,
in action.
glad my laptop's not in that suitcase. Yeah.
Yeah, and would you recommend people to bring carry-on or a larger suitcase from your experience?
I think the more light you can travel, the happier you will be.
I agree. I know that you had your luggage delayed, right?
Oh my
So that
gosh, yeah. Well, what I've learned is, and I can't believe it's like one of these things like, why didn't I learn this sooner? Bring a backpack, bring something to sleep in, bring your toothbrush, your toothpaste, your deodorant. Like,
a couple
just
bathing
have it
suits,
with
and
you.
a
Have
couple
a
pairs of
kit,
shorts.
whatever your kit needs to include, and have that with you as the carry on. And the rest of the stuff can go in the big suitcases. And if it, you know, wear something comfortable to travel in, and, okay, oh, it's Barb in her outfit that she was wearing yesterday. Nobody's going to care. They know
Yeah,
my luggage is delayed by a day. And it did come, and it was no problem. I think Amy's was delayed by a day too. But it came the next day, and they delivered it to our hotel, so we didn't have to like race back to the airport or do any kind of, heroic events or anything like that. So it all worked out.
yeah. Awesome. I'm so glad that you came with us. I'm glad we had this quality time together before you head off to Vietnam.
Well, I think
Um,
there will be many more trips in our future, girl.
I know it. I know. I wish you were coming to Turkey as well, but
I wish
maybe
I was
next
too.
year.
I love Turkey. Turkey is amazing and beautiful, and it's really the gateway between Europe and the East. And it's just such a beautiful, rich culture. And the Turkish breakfast, best thing ever.
It is. I'm so looking forward to the breakfasts and all the food because, well, this year I'm going to scope it out as a future Soul Food Adventures trip for next year. So the boat looks beautiful, and we have a great chef named Cookie
Lovely.
to feed us all week. So I'm really looking forward to having a break from the kitchen and enjoying all of that amazing food. And I'll let you know how it is, and we can maybe set a date for next year.
Yep. Yep. Well, this year has just been, the last 18 months have just been about surgeries and treatments. I have a clean bill of health. I just went for my latest checkup, got the go ahead. Everything's really good. And, I'm glad that I did. I'm glad I made the decisions that I made. I can go to Vietnam now, understanding that my health is good and that it's all, smooth sailing from here.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you're so well and you look gorgeous and super happy. So I'm really thrilled to see where you're at, and I'd love to encourage more women to just embrace, whatever is coming, because you are so strong. We can handle whatever comes our way and make the best of it.
Yeah. I
And
think
Barb,
one of the best things I do, which I think a lot of people don't do, is if there's a situation, I surrender immediately. And a lot of people think, oh, what are you doing? You're giving up. I said, no, no, no. It has nothing to do with giving up. It has to do with eliminating my own suffering. It's like, if this is a situation, what am I going to do to deal with it? I accept it. It wouldn't have been my choice. But if this is where we are, I'm going to surrender immediately. I'm going to cut my suffering off at the pass and get into action mode where I can take care of myself.
this is important because I know that this is a perspective that you have that is different from what other people say about getting through cancer, right? Everyone's around the fight
They're all about the
cancer,
fight.
survivor mode, right? Warrior mode. So tell me just a little bit more about the surrender part. How do you mean surrender to
Yeah.
cancer?
So when you get a diagnosis, you fighting it is not going to change a thing. You know, you can see it on the scan. You go, okay, that's not normal. I know that this is something. It's really just kind of a mind trick where you can say, I choose to accept this, and I'm going to make a plan with my doctor and care team that I'm going to believe that they have my best interest at heart, which they do. And if they don't, find another doctor, right? But you just get together and you get into problem solving mode. They have seen many, many patients in your situation, and they have your best interest at heart, and they're going to do a good job and take care of you. And the best thing that I felt I could do was accept my situation, turn internally to say, I don't want to suffer. I want to accept what is and not fight, but instead make a plan that is going to be in my best interest. Trust my doctor, do what my doctor tells me to do, make decisions with my doctor so I'm not a passive participant in any way. But it's a different energy from struggle. And I think that that is really the key, because struggle is not a good look on anybody. It's not a good feeling. It's not something I want to participate in, and it's exhausting. This is the time when you're in treatment, you need to reserve your energy by not fighting, by instead accepting, resting, drinking your water, eating the best food, talking over the treatments, and deciding what's going to be best for you. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to do that. It's like, okay, it's your body. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I trust my doctors and I take their guidance. So you wouldn't think with my personality that I'd be the world's most compliant patient, but I actually am.
Yeah, you are, and you're an amazing person to travel with too. So easy.
We have a fun time. Well, I mean, if you say we need to show up here at this time, I'm going to be there because, I don't want to miss out on anything fun and cause trouble with, where's Barb?
No, you're extremely easy to travel with.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, and I'm so glad we got a chance to catch up.
Yeah, me too.
Let's share your book link
Yes.
once we finish today. So if anyone wants to grab it, I know I had people reaching out to me to read it. So I was searching for that book link to share it with a few people.
Yeah, we can put it in the comments. And right now I'm doing a little bit of a promotion where I'm actually including some bonus material. So the book is called I Made Life My Bitch, and I'm offering it in a PDF version via a link that we can share. And right now we're also offering a bonus essay called, get this, How to Change Your Life Without Getting Off Your Couch.
Oh, I love that.
About the stages of decision making and manifesting. So it's pretty good stuff.
That's great. And I know your website looks amazing. Our friend Lila, who is in our mastermind, helped to create that. And it's a beautiful site. So
yeah, she did a great job.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll let you get on with your day. So great to chat with you, Barb. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from you down the road when you're in Vietnam, sharing your adventures over there.
Oh, it's going to, you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. And I also have a group that you can follow. It's called Your Best Life Over 40. So if you go to Facebook groups and search for Your Best Life Over 40, you'll see a picture of me driving a boat looking bodacious in my yellow bikini.
That is a great picture. All right. Take care, Barbara. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here.
Thank you.